And we're live.
Hey, LeBron, you jealous?
What's LeBron got to be jealous of? He's got 4 rings.
I got five.
Yeah, wow.
You
Which
saw the
which
look
one's
on
worth
his
more?
face. You saw the look on his face during that Golden State game. That debacle. Anyway, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in until the point with
Skip?
and the king. You guys know what to do. Go down there, click subscribe, click like. You guys can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, which is hopefully where you're watching us. And if you're not, you're bootlegging and you owe us some money. Now, speaking of money, thank you to our sponsors, WeDoLaundry.ca. You use the affiliate code to the point for 5% off. They come to your door, they pick up your laundry, they wash, they fold, and they bring it back. Skip and I have both tried this out, and it's a great service. So thank you guys again for WeDoLaundry.ca. Now, can I just say one thing, guys, before we get into this?
Hit it.
Um, let's send our best, and we wish nothing but the best for Nate Robinson and Dikembe Mutombo right now within the basketball community. It's unfortunate, but let's hopefully they get better. Now, guys, I don't know if you were there at Hurricanes Roadhouse
I
with Skip
was.
and I. I don't know if you guys were there, but the Toronto Raptors pulled a gritty, grinding, amazing win over the Cleveland Cavaliers, which the American media has poised to be over the Toronto Raptors. Let's just say this. Okay. Now, it was a great win. It was a good game. It was enjoyable. It was fun. It was like everybody was white knuckled. Now, Andrew, I have to ask you. You weren't there with us the other night, so I want to ask you, what were your overall reactions for that initial game for the opening night? And by the way, shout out to Mr. Strizzy and Mrs. Strizzy for being there for them. Go on, please, my friend.
Okay, so what I noticed about this game was the first 3 quarters was not pretty. The Raptors defense kept them in the game, but the first 3 quarters wasn't pretty. We were up 8, I believe, going into the after the first quarter, 5 going into the first quarter, and we went up 11. After we went up 11 in the first bit of the second quarter, then it was all Cavs from then on, and there were turnovers. Siakam had 4. There were 10 turnovers in the first half. And the Raptors' shooting and half-court offense was terrible. They shot 37.5% from the field in the first 3 quarters. And you could just – their offense was predictable. They were doing everything at the high post with Siakam or Scotty Barnes.
Scotty.
And they were relying on those two guys to either shimmy and shoot or beat their guys to try to finish at the rim. And boy, oh boy, the Raptors have trouble finishing at the rim. My goodness, like unbelievable amount of layups missed. And then the 3-point shooting wasn't there early. And therefore, they were down 8 at the end of the third quarter, 4 at the half. Donovan Mitchell then took over. He was making all kinds of layups. He was breaking down the defense and setting up alley-oops and layups for Jared Allen. 3-pointers for Osman, I believe his name is. He had a big day. And so early on, I was pulling my hair out, frustrated with the Raptors offense. However, second chance points and the Raptors defense kept them in the game. The Raptors outscored Cleveland 18-4 in second chance points, which kept them in the game. And then the defense took over in the fourth quarter. And their offense just exploded. 5 for 8 out of 3, 58% in the fourth quarter, and they outscored the Cavs by 11. But the ball movement, again, I'll say it again, the ball movement in the fourth quarter was the difference in the game. And they have to do that the whole game. Waiting until the fourth to do it is not going to get it done against another team that maybe doesn't lose their all-star in the middle of the second quarter. Yes, the Raptors get the bad end of the foul call, but hey, Yesterday, 31 free throws to the Raptors. So you can't say the rest were against them. The problem was they only shot 71% from the line, which kept the game close as well. And so, yes, Scotty's still getting bad foul calls against him early in the game. Yes, Pascal Siakam fouled out of this game, but Pascal Siakam's got to stop fouling. And when he gets to the line, he can't shoot 4 for 8 from the line. So there were positives and negatives. I was very happy with Koloko. He had a big game for the Raptors first time out. He changed a lot of shots. I was happy with him. And then OG, I know someone was talking about this earlier. This is a big year. I think it was Tim Roach, our boy Tim Roach, was saying that this is a big year for OG. And in the fourth quarter, he took over. He had 10 big points. He blocked a couple of shots. He took over that fourth quarter, which helped us win the game. So a great fourth quarter, an exciting fourth quarter that won us the game, but a very, very scary and average first 3 quarters with a horrific offense. The Raptors are going to have to move the ball more and stop playing iso ball. They were one of the worst teams in the NBA with iso ball last year, and with the amount of times they went iso ball with Siakam and Barnes. They've got to move the ball, and they've got to make defenses work. So those were my thoughts on the game. Overall, I mean, they got killed in the paint again because they got no size. Boucher didn't play, so that was a factor.
Yeah.
But a good win to get at home.
And Ken Birch as well.
Yes, a good win at home after struggling for most of the first 3 quarters. But I'll take it. But there's some work to be done.
Okay, thank you. Andrew Reece from the Reece Report. You guys go find him on YouTube for his own podcast and find out what's bothering him. It's like that Peter Griffin, What Grinds My Gears?
Yeah, trust me, you're going to want to hear what's bothering me because it's when I get angry, it gets entertaining. By the way,
but the NFL predictions are pretty good. I use them for my betting personally, right?
Yes.
But thank you, Reece. Thank you. Yeah. And you can find him on the Reece Report on Facebook as well. Skip, I got to ask you specifically, like Andrew Reece just spoke about the fourth quarter. You and I were sitting there at Hurricanes Roadhouse, and thank you everybody that came out and showed up and showed out. That was a great night, great crowd. What you and I were sitting right beside each other, and I want to ask you. You said a lot of things, but I want to ask you specifically, what did you take away from the fourth quarter of your Toronto Raptors to pull out that win?
What I took away from the fourth quarter is the Raptors are back, baby. Like, this is the team that we ended last year with. This is the team that we were. We got after the loose balls. We got into people. We slowed teams down. Teams would go 5 minutes without scoring a basket or 5 minutes with scoring one basket. Like, this is the Raptors that we expected to see based on what we saw last year. Again, they still have a lot of the same flaws as last year, as Reece just highlighted with all the struggles in the first 3 quarters. But in that fourth quarter, they took over the game by winning the hustle plays, by breaking up passes, by getting a bunch of steals. They had 15 steals in this game, and the Cavs had 5. I mean, the turnovers are a little closer than that, but that just tells you how much the Raptors were really into guys and into people.
Yeah.
So the steals, again, obviously the offensive rebounding, the defensive rebounding was solid in the fourth quarter. Obviously, the Raptors did get a little bit hotter from 3. I think they had 3 threes right at the very beginning of that fourth quarter to kind of key that run. But that was actually really before everything really started to take off, because if you watch that part of the game, they hit 3 threes in a row, but they gave up 3 straight layups. So, I mean, the net differential was like 3 points. Where they really won the game was sort of in the last 6 minutes when they really, really locked things down. And again, to go back to your OG Anunoby point, I thought he was terrific in this game. I thought he really took over in a way that we haven't really seen before, other than the last preseason game. We saw a glimpse of it, but we don't really normally see OG in that sort of active role. And he looks like a much different player this year. He looks like a player who is capable of playing with force, playing like inside, getting to the rim, making the passes. The Raptors aren't a high assist team, but we saw OG get into the paint, find the cutter. OG get in the paint, find the 3-point shooter. Like, almost playing a little bit like that Pascal Siakam style. Like, we'd say positionless. We say all these guys play exactly the same. Like, We saw it from Scotty. Scotty had a couple of those really nice drives in the fourth quarter. We saw it from OG. And again, we saw it from Pascal because that's sort of what we expect from Pascal at this point. So I thought the Raptors really did a good job of just playing with force and taking over and just being themselves and making the Cavs come to them. And they succeeded. They won the game and they pulled it out, and it was fun to watch and a lot of fun to watch at the bar with you guys. But
do you guys? Thank you, Skip. Do you guys mind if I weigh in here?
yeah, get in there.
I got some stuff to say. Okay, let's look at it. The Raptors starters, they all average double digits. They all got double digits.
I think they all got 15.
Huh?
Didn't they all get 15? Or maybe someone had 13.
Yeah,
they all had 15.
No, yeah, and Precious had 10.
Yeah.
So to me, it kind of reminded me of like the old school, like how to win the San Antonio Spurs back in the day. It kind of reminded me of that, which was pretty cool, like balance, offense, but it does accentuate what they're trying to do with the positionless basketball, which is where any player can play each position. Unfortunately, yeah, Pascal did foul out, but that's on the defensive side. But offensively, to see what these guys did, and you guys just clicked on that thumbnail. You saw that picture right at the end, right? Are you kidding me? With Scotty throwing up that lob? Come on. It was absolutely good. One thing I will take away from there is their grind. Like, it showed that they didn't fold in the face of adversity, right? They were right there, and especially with the American media hyping up Cleveland over Toronto, which to me, I will say it's absolute bullshit, because that's not happening. You know, them hyping up Donovan Mitchell. Yes, Donovan Mitchell did cut the Raptors D, but Skip, you and I did speak about this a while ago, that the Raptors, with their positionless basketball, they need to attack the paint in order to open up and free up the guys for the 3-pointers, which is what they did in the fourth quarter, right? You know, I was there. I had my head on your shoulder, and I was like, right.
Yeah.
That's what I saw from the Raptors, but that's generally as the Raptors. But guys, let's get into the actual players, because I saw some players really stand out last night. Skip, I mentioned this to you, and to me, number one was OG Anunoby. He was lights out. He was amazing, right? Pascal on his defense, I was so surprised about. You know, even Freddie going in there, doing what Freddie does. Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. I know Freddie. But also, my biggest standout that I saw, like, we know Scotty's going to do what he's going to do, and Scotty's going to be the face of this franchise no matter what. Precious, stepping it up. And then not to mention Christian Colico. He was looking like a big, grown, mature man on the court, right? I loved what I saw from him. Now, guys, let's bring this around. You guys tell me, which player stood out to you? Reece, you're up.
Coloco. Coloco, he caught my eye. Now, he didn't have huge numbers, but when I saw him on the court, he made a difference in the game defensively. I liked what I saw. I actually wanted him on the floor in the fourth quarter because I was impressed with his defense, but they didn't end up needing him because the Raptors were red hot on offense. Scott Barnes, after the nervousness of the first quarter, he was great. He was breaking down defenses. He was powering his way into the lane, which is what I want to see from him. I want him to finish over guys. I want him to bully guys like I saw after the first quarter, where he can overpower guys and lay it up, or he can set guys up for threes. Pascal.
That one drive was amazing. That one it was beautiful. He just I don't remember who it was. Just took him right to the rim.
Yes, and that's what I want to see from him more and more. I don't want him doing shimmies like Steph Curry trying to take fadeaway jump shots.
Yeah,
and like he did in the first quarter.
Better than Evan Mobley.
Yes.
Well, one was plus 20 and one was minus 14. So
right. Pascal was good last night. Other than from the free throw line, he was good. I thought he was the victim of some pretty shady foul calls, although he does need to stop fouling on defense. Same thing with Scotty. He got some really bad foul calls, which kept him out of the game longer than I'd like because he had 3 fouls early.
Call was horrible. Yeah, go
right.
That 5th foul call was bad. Yeah,
it was a bad call. And OG was outstanding. And what I liked about OG was that he was very calm. His game was very fluid. There was no nervous energy. He was just very calm and very relaxed playing, like a guy that's not thinking too much while he's playing. So I enjoyed that part of his game as well. So he stood out to me as well. So, you know, and Nick Nurse with his face open all the time, that was fun to watch. Every time there was a foul call, it was just great to see. So that was fun.
Don't tell the coach Tim Roach.
So, what do you think, Skip?
Well, I'm going to say most of the same names, actually. I've already mentioned OG. I thought he looks so much more powerful this year. He looks so much bigger and stronger and just more able to command the ball with force and dribble in the paint, like I was saying already. Scotty had a good game. Pascal had a good game. Koloko was really impressive for a rookie in his first ever game. That one block he had on Mitchell was a beautiful play, but just his defensive positioning in general. He's in the right place. He's vertical. He's just getting in the way. He's not fouling guys. He's not jumping all over the place. And even on offense, I was expecting him to be a terrible offensive player after what I saw in Summer League. Like he's fine for his role. He set screens.
He was pretty efficient yesterday.
Yeah, set screens, dunks. You know, he can be a rim runner. Like he can be a guy that can be a quiet offensive player, but still play his role very well. Based on what I saw last night. The one guy that stood out for me in a negative sense, Juancho Hernan-Gomez. Get this guy off the floor.
Cruise, bro?
Get this guy off the floor. I was sitting there. He checks in the second quarter. The Cavs immediately go on a run. He plays 7 minutes, 0 points, 0 assists. I think he had 1 rebound. Just did nothing out there, minus 10 while he was out there. And I was just sitting there screaming at the TV, like, get OG back in the game. Because as soon as I got OG back in the game, the run ended. And you didn't see Juancho Hernan-Gomez play again for the rest of the game. And I think, quite frankly, if once Chris Boucher is back, once Otto Porter's back, I don't think we'll be seeing a whole lot of Juancho minutes unless he somehow finds something that wasn't there in preseason that I haven't seen so far, that really, honestly, I haven't seen in his whole career because he's been in the league for like 4 or 5 years at this point. I didn't even think they should have signed for that guaranteed contract in the first place. I thought it should have been a non-guaranteed deal, but
he's
that's
got to
just
spend
me.
his time in Hollywood. He ain't got to spend time on the court.
On the negative side, I'd like to mention Young was a minus 14. I don't know if that's because of Gomez, but he wasn't much of a factor in this.
He didn't play much at all. I was looking. He really barely played after the first half. I think he had 3 minutes in the third quarter.
Yeah.
I didn't really notice Young a lot, other than I think he had one ugly missed shot.
My concern is this. Once Porter and Boucher come back, I really want Nurse to use his bench so that the starters are not killed by the second half.
That's what I was about to say. So
yes.
when Brian was going off, I looked it up, and we talked all preseason. Nurse was like, I got to cut Freddie's minutes back. Played 39 minutes in that game. I mean, yeah. OG played 38. Trent played 37. Obviously, you're missing 2 of your main bench guys. You're missing. I mean, Birch might get some bench minutes too, cut some minutes, but you know, when it gets to crunch time, Nurse is going to go with his guys. I was looking at the fourth quarter. There were only 6 players who played in the fourth quarter, other than Banton checking in at the very end when Siakam fouled out. It was basically Precious and the starters. Those are the only guys that played in the fourth. Yeah. And OG, Scotty, and Trent, I believe, played the entire fourth quarter. So Nurse, we know this by now. Nurse rides his guys, and it means it leads to wins. There's a reason he does it, but at a certain point, you're going to need the bench to step up. You're going to need to find ways to spot these guys' minutes. And everyone's so excited about Benson showing out and being this big backup point guard, and Scotty playing backup point guard minutes, and all these guys. Freddie still played almost 40 minutes. Freddie still played almost 40 minutes last night. So that's going to have to be something that gets nips in the bud early in the season.
And Nick, that makes me go.
I mean, it's just the same thing's going to happen as last year, right? Like, it's going to look great in the first half, but down the stretch, Freddie's got so many miles in his legs. Is he going to be there in the playoffs? Like, that's the real question.
The guy had knee and hip problems last year, and if he's not, we don't want that again. He's gonna have to get him some rest. So please, Nick, don't kill this man.
I really hope
that leads me to another question for you guys.
Sure.
Now, with the Raptors' depth and what we've witnessed in that opening game, do you think these guys can do like load management? Durant, Irving, do you think that can lead to some load management for some of these guys and the star players, the main players, and allow some of the bench players to succeed, to get the reps? Like Skip, you just talk smack about Bo Cruz, Mr. Hollywood, right? You just talk smack about him, but then there's also guys like Malachi, Delano, do you think this can allow these players to succeed if Nick Nurse were to take the approach of letting the star players take a minute? I get it. The first 10 games, don't do any load management whatsoever, because look at who the Raptors have faced. The next game tonight,
that's a factor,
as we post this, is against what? Brooklyn. Yeah. It's going to be something. So do you think they should maybe take that approach strategically and give some of the players time off and let the other guys play?
I think that should definitely be a goal going forward. I think it'll be a lot easier if Otto can get healthy. It'll be a lot easier once Boucher is out there. But this is the way the NBA works, right? Like, one guy gets healthy, another guy gets hurt. You can't ever bank on everyone being healthy at the same time. But based on what we saw from Koloko tonight, I think he could be in line for more minutes. He could be in line for a bigger role. Obviously, hopefully Thad Young gets his stuff together and has a better game next game. I mean, he's getting up there. Like, you're not expecting this guy to be a superstar at this point in his career. Like, he's
younger than me and Reece.
He's like my age, right? Like, he's getting up there. But we're gonna have to see a little bit more from Delano. We're gonna have to see a little bit more from Thad Young. But it's tough because we know Nick Nurse rides his guys. So at what point do you sacrifice wins, right? The real question comes down to, like, are you willing to sacrifice a win for some rest? Because what if you have to
playoffs?
Not in the playoffs, obviously. No. I'm talking about, like, are you willing to sacrifice?
You want your guys ready for the playoffs.
Yeah. So are you willing to give up a couple wins in December by playing Freddie 35 minutes instead of 39 and letting Delano suck up those minutes? I can't say his name, but
yeah,
you know what I'm trying to say.
You got to say the man name.
Do you want to save those minutes for the playoffs and accept that maybe you'll be a couple spots lower in the standings?
Yeah.
And Nurse has never shown the ability to do that, or not the ability, but the affinity to do that. So unless there's kind of a change in mentality, he's going to ride his guys. Yeah. So it's going to be up to the bench to really step up. Yeah.
My thoughts on this are this: they're not gonna load manage. In other words, they're not gonna tell guys to take games off. However, with that bench, there's no excuse for them to not play less minutes. We saw Golden State the other day. They got a bunch of young players that have very little experience, less experience than the Raptors do, and their players are playing 20 to 25 minutes against the Lakers in a blowout. Even though the game got close in the fourth, they're still playing big minutes, those young guys. So at some point, Nurse is going to have to trust his bench if he wants to not have four guys injured in the playoffs like he did against the 76ers.
We can't all play the Lakers every game, though.
Yes, I understand. But I remember last year, Curb just basically said, none of you guys come to Toronto, and Toronto just destroyed them. Like, they played a bunch of G League players against Golden State. They're like, yeah, we're just not going to win this game. You guys can go ahead and win it. And the Raptors went in there and killed them because they had no players. So Is it going to be? Is Nurse going to do that? Probably not, because we're in a tough Eastern Conference, and we're probably not as good as the Warriors. We're going to need every win possible to go up in the standings. But if he can use his bench just a little bit more to not destroy the starters so that they're dead by the playoffs, there's no excuse this year considering their additions that they've added to this team. They have 5 guys that can come off the bench and play for them now. And so Nick Nurse is going to have to work out a way to get them in the lineup and trust them.
Well, I want to say there's two.
Wait,
Okay.
Reece, you just said 5 players to come off the bench. Can you name those 5? Is it
Boucher? No, not Malachi. Not Malachi. Banton, Boucher, Porter, Koloko, and Young. That's 5 players right there.
You didn't even name Precious.
And I didn't even mention Precious. There's zero excuse for them to not use their bench this year.
Yeah,
yes,
well, I want to say that
saying. That's what I was saying in our preseason preview. I want to see a bench mob 2.0. I've been harping on this since last year. They have the ability, they have the talent, they have the roster. It can happen. Skip, you wanted to say something there? Go ahead, my friend.
2 things. First, Nick Nurse is not Dwayne Casey. That bench mob was a Dwayne Casey construction.
Yes.
They're different coaches strategically. Nurse is much more in the Tom Thibodeau, run your stars into the ground mode.
Yes.
Second of all, there's 2 different ways to rest players, right? There's literally going to Fred VanVleet saying, "Hey, take this game off. We're gonna win it without you." Or there's just being in the moment in the game and giving him those extra 4 or 5 minutes of rest and saying like, "All right, we're gonna put a minutes cap on you, 35 minutes. No matter what the score is, you don't come back in until there's 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter." Yeah. That, in theory, should be doable, but Nurse has never shown the ability to do that. Yeah. So it actually might make more sense for this team if they do that. The first thing I described, where they do just tell guys, "All right, just go sit this one out once a month. Go sit a game out and just get your legs under you, like a back-to-back or whatever." So I think there's 2 different ways they can go about it. If they're serious about it, I mean, the sports science and all that, I'm sure it shows that it's better to not run guys into the ground. But we'll see. We'll have to see. Maybe it's the opening night. They want to win opening night, so I don't really blame him for taking that game seriously. But every game is going to be tough. So at a certain point, you have to kind of manage your needs, I guess.
Okay, so guys, we're pressed for time right now. This has been a great conversation. Before we get out of here, all right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching and spending your time with us. We really appreciate it. You guys got anything? Just give me 1 point. Just this is completely off script. Just give me 1 point that you took away from opening day, regardless if it was the Raptors or the other teams in the NBA. Can you just say one thing, Reece?
The Lakers suck.
All right, they're not making the playoffs. Oh my God, I love you for that one, brother. Skip.
I mean, that doesn't even seem worth saying because it's just so obvious at this point.
Say one thing that you took away from the opening day.
It's not really a new point, but just I really
Get
like
to the point.
I really like seeing guys like OG and Scotty just hammer the ball into the paint, and I did not see a lot of VanVleet over dribbling the ball, and that I really liked about opening night.
Can I say one more thing, Brian? Because that was really negative.
Yeah.
I told Skip this last year when we were doing the playoffs. The Warriors are going to be a better team this year. Skip told me, no way. That team is going to be better this year than they were last year. Those kids, Wiseman and Moody, they are going to really help that team. And Klay Thompson will be better this year than he was last year. Watch out. The Warriors might repeat.
So
Hey,
we should.
I put some money on them, I'll be honest, but that's okay.
We should mute Skip right now.
Hey, I put money on the Warriors. I'm not. If they win, I'm happy.
That is a brutal conference, though. A brutal conference.
Okay. So what I got to say is my takeaway from opening day and all that, man. That kid from Orlando.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Paulo. I can't say his last name.
I can't pronounce his last name either. But that kid really stood out to me. That was an amazing performance. Kudos to
Who did they play again?
Detroit.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah, the two kids from Detroit, they both put up good numbers. They actually did very well. Both of the kids, both of the rookies. Kudos to them. That was great. Okay, guys, it's been a great conversation. We got to head out of here because I'm pretty sure a lot of people got other things to do in their life and they don't want to spend the time with us any longer unless they want to come and hang out with us at Hurricanes Roadhouse while we're doing the games. So, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on. Much congratulations, and we hope your success gets better on the Reece Report. You guys go check that out on YouTube. It's actually really good. You've seen me on there. If you watched it, you guys know. Okay? And we got to do more of those. And shout out to my Vikings. Anyway, and you guys could find him on Facebook at the Reece Report. Thank you very much for coming back on, Andrew Reece. Shout out to your family. I got nothing but love for them. Skip, I saw you yesterday. I don't need to say anything to you. But you guys could find Skip, Simon Broder, Running the Point. This is the bootleg copy. Amazon.ca, SimonBroder.com, at Dougie J's on Twitter. Baseball season is almost over.
I'm barely
Oh,
watching.
no.
You hear him whining
the
and crying?
Jays,
Did you hear
they're
that?
very
Did you hear
lucky.
that reaction?
The Jays are lucky I didn't start my What's Bothering Me show before that collapsed by the bullpen because I would have Skip on there to destroy them. So they're lucky.
I'm
my
on
God.
strike. I'm on strike from baseball right now. That ruined me.
What an
Skip
embarrassment.
was in a corner in the fetal position, crying, half naked, wearing a diaper. Okay, that's how bad it was for him.
I was
What an
more
embarrassment.
just gobsmacked. I wasn't even upset. I was just gobsmacked. Like, how do you do that? How do you blow an 8-1 lead? But anyway,
Yeah, exactly. At that late in the game.
you
But
can also
thank you
find
guys
some of my
for watching.
content at Raptors Republic. I was on the mailbag recently. You can check
Skip,
that
I was
out.
just going to get to that. Skip just published an article on Raptors Republic. You guys can go check that out. It's actually really good. Skip, even though he doesn't look like it, he can write. He's very smart. I'm taking shots at you, bro. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Andrew Reece. You guys make sure you guys go support him. You guys make sure you support us. Go down there, click subscribe, click like, leave some comments. And on behalf of all three of us, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
Peace.